fixture rich in history that captivates rugby fans of all nations. Scotland against England, and away we go.
Same ball.
One of the biggest rivalries in rugby this weekend. I cannot wait. I think this is the rivalry round when it comes to the Six Nations. England versus Scotland at Twickenham. I mean, you know, people want to call the Alliance. It's Twickenham, right? It's going to be massive. As you can see down here on the left, 71% of people think that England will win, 28% for Scotland. And yeah, look, the way that England played last week and the way Scotland played last week, we can see the reason why people are thinking this way. I do think it'll be closer than what some people are predicting. I think some people are predicting England to win by 10 or more, where I think it'll be much closer. But we'll go over the prediction in just a little bit. Obviously, round 3, on the bottom right, you can see the ladder. England and Scotland need a win very, very badly. They cannot afford to lose another match, in my opinion, because the only game I can see Ireland losing is maybe against France in Ireland. I made a prediction that France would, but the way that Ireland have played is just brilliant, so it's hard to see them losing. So England and Scotland need to get a bonus point win here, no matter what. Whoever loses is out of the tournament, in my honest opinion, especially when it comes down to points difference and that. Let's look at the last 5 meetings between Scotland and England, and Scotland have dominated it. 4 out of the last 5 they've won. Average point scored 19 to 16. First try wins 60% time, and the home team wins only 40% of the time, which is a pretty interesting stat, because usually it's the opposite way around, right? Now, the last 5 games for England, beating France 26-25, losing to Ireland 27-22, where the game wasn't as close as the score suggests, smashing the Japanese 59-14, losing to the Box 29-20, and losing to the Wallabies in injury time 42-37. Now for Scotland, 32-18 loss to Ireland, 31-19 win against Italy, 27-13 win against Australia, 59-21 win against Portugal, and a 32-15 loss against the Box. But obviously, we noted that the Box are only leading by, I think, like 5 or 7 points going into the last pretty much 10 minutes and scoring a try right on the last play of the game. So the game should have been closer, probably a similar scoreline, you know, losing by about even less than 10, I think, would have done the game justice because it was such a tight game. It could have gone either way. But let's have a look at it. And before we do, before the prediction, if you do like this sorts of videos, if you want to keep up with the Six Nations, if you want to keep up with Super Rugby, all these different competitions, hit that subscribe button right below. It's only a click away. We've already got 600 subscribers and we're growing, and hopefully we can make more and more videos. So just hit that subscribe button below and like the videos that you do like. And as always, the point about this page is to be able to talk about rugby, give you opinions, and just enjoy the game of rugby, which I think is the best game of all. So do comment below. We'll try to get back to everyone. Everyone can have a chat about it. No matter if you agree or disagree, you know, share your opinion down below. So you can see here, the last 5 meetings between England and Scotland. Scotland winning in Murrayfield 30-21 last year. Beating England 29-23 in Twickenham. Winning 2017, 20 points to 17 in 2022. Scotland winning again 11 points to 6 in 2021. And then England only winning back 13 points to 6 back in 2020. Interesting. Very interesting, actually. So let's have a bit of a look at the lineups here today. See if we can zoom in a little bit so we can actually read it. So starting in the front row, for England, you got Ellis Genge. You got Luke Cowan-Dickey back in. You know, obviously, hopefully he can work on that the line-out throw a little bit, to be honest, because he didn't really do the best, should I say, in that last game. The line-out throw, you know, when George came on, he really solidified it. So hopefully he'll have a better game. But his physicality is there. His running with the ball is great. Then you got Will Stewart back in the front row as well. So unchanged front row. You got Pierre Skuman coming in. You got Dave Cherry and Zander Fagerson. So Pierre back into the starting lineup. You got Mario Toje as Capitano. Ollie Chessum, which, back in at number 5, which is interesting. Johnny Gray and Grant Gilchrist for the Scots. You got Tom Curry, Ben Earl, who had a brilliant game both of them actually had a brilliant game. Tom Curry was phenomenal. And Ben Earl was, back to his old self. And Tom Willis in at number 8. Then you got Jamie Ritchie back into the starting lineup. You got Rory Darge as co-captain, and you got Jack Dempsey in at number 8. It'll be a great battle in those loose forwards. I think, looking at it from here, I think the front rows are pretty evenly met. I think the second row, yet again, is very even in my opinion. And then the back row, I think that's where England has a little bit of an edge. Just the way that Tom Curry and Ben Earl played last week, I think they got a bit of an edge. Look at the fly half and the number 9. Alex Mitchell and Finn Smith back in for England. Ben White and Finn Russell for the Scots. And Finn Russell, the only way they're going to win this is if he plays to his full ability. For how he plays for club, for Bath, how he's played in the Premiership. He needs to get back into that form. Then you got, who I rate as a brilliant player, Ollie Slideholm. He had a great game last week. 2 weeks ago, sorry. And also, chased down Biarre, who stripped Marcus Smith with the ball, had a clean go to the line, and Ollie Slideholm came pretty much from across the field. Obviously, he had the angle, but he was still quick enough to make him have to cut in, and they ended up making a mistake. So he saved that try. Brilliant effort. You got Henry Slade in at number 12. You got Ollie Lawrence in at 13, who had a brilliant game as well. Tommy Freeman, who was player of the match, and then Marcus Smith in at 15. Then you got a left wing, Duhan van der Merwe, and him and Tommy Freeman up against each other. It's going to be the battle of the Goliaths, in my opinion. Then you got Tom Jordan coming into at number 12, where I think could be a great choice. Hugh Jones, Kyle Rowe on the right wing, and Blair Kinghorn back at fullback. And let's see if Scotland will actually test Marcus Smith. Obviously, they got Tommy Freeman there to try and help protect Marcus, but you gotta attack Marcus, especially such a short fullback. You need to get him one-on-one with Duhan or with someone, Hugh Jones, something like that, in the air so you can get that ball back. Then you got Jamie George, who made the most of his appearance. I put him in my team of the week on the bench. He was brilliant. You got Finn Baxter, who was also brilliant coming off the bench. Joe Hayes in at 18. You got Ted Hill at 19, and you got Chandler Cunningham South at 20. And then you got Ben Curry at 21. You got Harry Randall at 22, and you got Elliot Daly, the match winner, the player far out. What a 5 minutes he had. Made a couple breaks, scored the game-winning try against France at Twickenham. I mean, what a brilliant feeling that would have been, especially being such big underdogs. Then you got Ewan Ashman for the Scots, Rory Sutherland, Will Hurd, Sam Skinner, Gregor Brown, Matt Fagerson, Jamie Doby, and Stafford McDowell. They're going to need a big game from these boys. That's all I can say. They're going to need a big game. Yeah, it's going to be very tough. To make a prediction is very tough, in my opinion. Especially, one team coming off such a high. One team, pretty much in the low, right, with Scotland. But as we know, the Six Nations can change overnight. It can change in an instant. Just with someone, making a big play can change the whole game. My original thought would be, Scotland to keep it very close. It'll be a tight affair. I think it'll be one in the forwards, where I think there's parts where England obviously has the upper hand, being at home as well. But then in the backs, I do believe that the Scots still have a bit of backline, just an honest opinion. Man, this is a very tough game to call. What I put down is Scotland to win by 2 points. Do I change my mind? Probably not. I think Scotland will just grind it out. I think England, they know how to lose tight games. Last week, they finished it off, and I think that's why they keep Jamie George on the bench, because he came in, he changed, he actually solidified that back end. He bring that experience as well. So I think that might be the difference. If England win, I think they win in a very tight affair, because some of those England, if they don't score that try right at the end, they still lose to France yet again in a close game. And then everyone goes, oh, England's horrible. England's one of the worst teams. But just because they scored that try right at the end, then now suddenly everyone believes that they're so much better than what they actually are. But that's how much a win can change, right? It can change the momentum. We've seen in the past where a team looks down and out, but as soon as they get a little belief, they just get that little momentum, the whole game changes. It's the weirdest thing. You can't teach that. Players can only feel it. And that's why you see coaches like Rusty and people like that say you're playing more than just a game. You're playing for everything, right? You're playing for your country. You're playing for every person on that street, every person that stand, because they need to get that feeling out of you without having, I guess, you just naturally to do it. So I think Scotland just win by 2 points. If England win, I wouldn't be surprised, just with the momentum they have. But we got to be honest with last week. France, they didn't lose to England. They lost to themselves, in my honest opinion. And I think a lot of people will agree with me on this, but a lot won't. Obviously, a lot of the English fans won't, but France dropped like 2 open try-line tries, including Duhan. And you also, I think they had 19 handling errors. So no offense in that you didn't play as good as you thought you did. I know the momentum's going to change, but at the end of the day, France beat themselves last week, and they got no one else to blame apart from themselves. So it's an easier loss to accept because you can blame yourself. You don't go, oh, we weren't the better team. It's just we can't execute, and they didn't. England held onto the ball, the French didn't, and voila, that's the end of the match, right? So I think Scotland just pull it out with a 2-point win. England get the bonus point. I think with a scoreline, maybe something like, that's always a tough one, right? Maybe 18 points to 20. So 20 points to 18 to Scotland. And I think the forward pack will have a day by keeping the English forward pack in check. I think Rory Darge is going to have a brilliant game. If I was going to pick someone, I think Tom Curry is going to have a brilliant game again. He's just been a machine. But yet again, this is a big call here. But the 2 key players for me, for the Scots in this game, is going to be Finn Russell. I think he's going to step up. His team needs him. He's used to playing in the English sort of weather, so he'll be all right. And you also got Blair Kinghorn, who I think he needs to do what Marcus Smith did last week, and that is kickstart the counter-attack, just run the ball up, get your team on the front foot, and they need to challenge Marcus Smith. You can't just give that little short fella a break. If I was the coach or if I was a player, I would be so pissed off if we didn't attack Marcus Smith. I would say we need to change our game plan, get him one-on-one with one of our wingers, with Duhan van der Merwe. We need him to go up in the air. He's not good in under the air. The French didn't challenge him once in the air, and they paid for it. And I think he's going to try overplay his hand, and I think it's going to be into the Scots' hands. And where I think Finn Smith had a brilliant game, he controlled it quite well last week for the English, but the Scots need to put pressure on him. They need to get him off his game. He's still, he's very new in the team, right? So they need to put him off. And I think for the English, key players, like I said, will be Tom Curry for me. And I think Ollie Slideholm again will have another good game. I really rate him. He's coming up against Kyle Rowe as the backup. So I think Ollie Slideholm is going to have a brilliant game again. So keep an eye out for him. 20 points to 18 is my prediction for Scotland to win in a very tight affair at Twickenham. Let me know what you think. Do you agree, disagree? Who's going to be your key player? Let me know below in the comments. Let me know your prediction as well. Because after the match, we can come back and we can look at it and compare it. And we can go, oh, look, you were the closest, whatever it might be. But let me know below in the comments. Like the video if you liked it. And please hit that subscribe button if you want to see future videos. And if you just want to be around rugby, hit that subscribe button. But thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.